Right, this is somewhat a bit new for me. My little welder expired the other day, so I've had to go out and buy myself a new one. So I've ordered this on eBay. I've never heard of them before. It's called an Andeli. I looked on the internet and all the welders I was looking at, I'd never heard of them before. Mine was an SIP. I've had an SIP and I've had a Clark and a Sabora, but they seem to be all manufacturers I've never heard of. So I just looked on a few, and I looked at one on Amazon, which was I forgot what it's called now. Christ, it's gone in my head. Anyway, I plumped for this one, this Andeli, on eBay. It was 200. Was it £230? Something like that. 210. I forget now. It doesn't matter. It's a MIG 160. Stroke 200. Oh, so 160. It says MIG 160. I wanted around the way 160 because that's what I had before. So it's an inverter welder. We'll have to do a bit of a review on it. I've never done a review on anything before. The first impressions is the weight of it. It's very light compared with that SIP. It's a lot lighter. So let's have a look inside, see what we've got. Just looking at the box, there's a little bit of damage there. There's a bit of a damage there, so I'll have to make sure when I go inside that anything's corresponding is not damaged inside the box. But it's a bit, when you see the box is damaged, you get a bit worried about that sort of thing. I'll have a look when we get inside. Well, it's a nice bit of packaging. It's not just a cardboard box, it's got like a corrugated sandwich in it, so it's well protected. That damage at that side is well away from that side, and you'd have to go right through before you're going to damage anything really. It's quite a good looking bit of packaging, is that. There's all the goodies inside. Not that blow my neck, that is. What sort of a welding mask is that? My God. Cheap as all go in the bin. Crikey, that's awful. Some packing notes. Oh, £209 it was, not 230. It's a stick welder, welding thing. That looks quite, it's a good robust bit of clamp. So that looks quite good. The thin clamp again. Strong, it's serviceable, that's alright. Wire brush. Jubilee clips, some spur nozzles and some instructions. Right, just looking at the instructions, they seem to be all in English, which is a good start. It's quite comprehensive. This is an interesting kind of paragraphs. Minimise interference emissions of arc welding equipment with proper installation wear and correct application method. The products described in the manual belong to Class A equipment, all occasions except residual area powered by public electrical power systems. Warning: Class A equipment is not applicable to residential area powered by public electrical power systems. It is difficult to guarantee electromagnetic compatibility because of condition and radiated interference. Well, that's what I thought as well. Before installing the arc welding equipment, the user shall evaluate the potential electromagnetic disturbance of the surrounding, and considerations are as follows. Check the surrounding arc welding equipment for other power cables, control cables, signals and telephone wires. Check the broadcasting and television launching and receiving equipment. Check for computer. Oh, I've done all that. I mean, you do all that as a matter of course. Yeah. Right, it's out the box. It's very small, I've got to say. It's nowhere near as big as my SIP welder, and the weight is nowhere near. In fact, it's a big plus that, because if I ever wanted to move the welder and go outside and do any welding, it was always a pain in the backside. It was so heavy to cart around. If I wanted to put it in the car and go anywhere, it was always a maul. This is quite light. It's got a 13 amp plug on, which is a relief, and it's a really good, well insulated cable, long, and it's got a long hose on as well for the MIG torch. It looks quite a nice bit of quality, this. Anyway, see what it's like. Well, here it is in its new home. I built this new home for it. Built myself a new bench the other day, a new wooden bench, because my other welder was just perched on like a little shelf, and I thought I'd build myself a new bench for it. This is where I do most of my work, and this is just a home for the new welder. But the cable is quite impressed with the length of this cable, because I can get over here now and weld over here, where before I would have to have disconnected the welder and put it on the floor and dragged it round, and it weighs a blooming ton, the other one. But this is quite good. It's quite long. This looks like a nice bit of kit. It looks well made, robust. All the cables look this clamp is nice and robust. This is a huge bit of cable, this, for the supply. You switch it on at the back here. The fan kicks in. Got some dials at the front telling me something. What are they telling me? What's this? That's the amps turned up to 162. Nice and smooth. It's halfway. Volts. I could change the voltage. Man, I've never used one of these before, so I'll even have to read the instructions before I start using it, because I don't know which way to put the cables in, because it's a TIG as well. You can use it as a TIG machine. Switch it off. Find the soldering switch. It doesn't switch off straight away. There's a bit of a delay on. It's just you must just cool it down a second. Little door at the side. That's where you put the wire in, inside there. Okay, I'll get some wire and put it in, and then I'll read the instructions and see what the instructions tell. Now I'm going to be a bit nitpicky here. When you open the door up here, you open this door up and get inside. This is obviously where your wire feed goes, your big spool of wire. And you're presented with this, with a spring at the back. This is the spring there and a washer. And there's nothing to tell you what this is in the instructions. It just says place the wire at right angles and feed it through here. There's no diagram or anything. Now, if you've never had a MIG welder before, this could be very confusing. It would be confusing. I mean, I was a little bit kind of not confused, but I'd have a think for a second or two, because this is obviously take a big spool of wire and not the one that I've got. My spool of wire is one with a hole in the centre like that. Now that is never going to go on there, so it's obvious. Well, it's obvious to me, but there's nothing saying in the instructions say you have to take this off, because that's obviously for the big spool of wire. And then I take it that you put that spool on with the wire that comes out the bottom, that goes into that into the cable there. There's nothing to tell you that. If I hadn't have had a welder before, I wouldn't have known that. So then I think you put that on, and then this spring, then another washer, and then this lock nut and tighten it up. Now all it says is fit this, but it doesn't tell you anything, and just says don't over tighten it, just tighten it until it's tight enough so this is not slipping. But there's no kind of, it's a little bit vague, to be honest, and there's no mention at all about this thing. It just doesn't mention it. So it's a bit, it's only a nitpicking, but if I hadn't have had a welder before, it would have been a bit confusing. So I'm just going to tighten that up till I think it's enough so it can't spin round and end up with a bird's nest of wire. So I'm going to try that. Okay. Right, here again, I've read these instructions twice and I can't find any reference to these rollers, how to adjust them. It just says feed the wire through the appropriate groove. Now I've had a MIG before, so I'm halfway there, but if you've never had a MIG welder before, it doesn't show you how to reverse this groove in here. So what you got to do is you've got to turn this half a turn, you pull it out, this roller comes out, and you see on the back of there it says 0.8. I think this one will be 0.6. Yeah, 0.6. See, I wanted it on 0.6. It was set to 0.8. That's the diameter of the wire. We didn't show you how to change that over. It just says put it through the right one. The instructions is poor. That's poor instructions. I'm sorry, but you've got a nice machine here, but them instructions need looking at. Because anybody who's never had a MIG before, they'll never get it working. So I've got it on 0.6. Okay. Right, I've got the wire feeding through. You can see there, and it goes up into that tube. It's a little bit tricky to get in, but every MIG I've had, it's been tricky to get it up there. So you've got to make sure that the wire is in the groove, and then this roller goes on top of it. Right, I've just pulled this arm down now. This arm was up here. Just pulled that arm down, flick this knob up, and then that's the control knob to adjust the tension on the wire. You just want enough on so as when the rollers roll, when they rotate, it pulls the wire through. So if your wire's not coming through, it may be that you've not had enough tension on that. Okay, so I think this is nice, and we don't want that tight, so else you end up with a bird's nest here, you end up with all coming like a bird's nest. So I think we're in there, but the instructions, they need to be clarified. They need clarifying them instructions. They're it's not really good enough, that. That's another bit of a little issue. It's not really a fault of the welding machine, but something you need to be aware of. This is the pipe that comes from my CO2 bottle, which is down there, which I've been using for ages. I had an adapter to fit on my MIG before. It doesn't fit this stub here. This is far too big. So what I've done, I've had to hack a piece of pipe off my compressor, which is a little bit too big, so I've had to put a bit of tape on here just to get it on, so it's a nice fit on there. It's not a fault of the welder, but it just seems something you need to be aware of. You may have to make an adapter. Alright, for the time being, I've just put this pipe in the back of that one. At some other time I'll make a proper adapter, but rather than I've just put some super glue on this rubber hose, shoved it in, and then just put a Jubilee clip on it. It's holding the pressure, so there's not that much pressure on there. That was the original adapter off me other MIG. The little tiny holes that come off it don't fit on this one, so seem to be, that's holding, there's no leak, there's not a lot of pressure coming out of there anyway, so I think we're there with that one. Right, these instructions need a dose of being better. They're not misleading, but if you've never had one of these before, very confusing. It says on here, place the wire feeder polarity plug to the positive socket. Now when it comes, this is hanging down there. There's nothing to tell you, there's nothing to show you, a picture showing you to do that. Now I'm assuming that's what it is. That says positive underneath. Got a little cross underneath it there, you see. So a positive and negative. Now there's nothing to tell you, this is the wire feeder socket. When it said wire feeder, I'm thinking about this one. This is place the wire feeder socket in the positive socket. I'm just assuming that's it. I mean, I'm not Mr. Thicky, me, but it needs better instructions than that. So I think I'm there. I've got the gas connected, I've got plugged in, I've got my earth connection which goes into this one, to the negative one. These are a bit sloppy as well. It's where they go in very loose, and then they tighten up, they turn and tighten up. Well, I suppose they're okay. You know, we'll give it a whizzle now and try it. Again, I'm just going to start to use it, but I just realised that I hadn't checked. I'd not checked the tip. It had a 0.8 and I'm using 0.6. Nothing in the instructions to tell you how to change the tip. Because the other one I had, my shroud unscrews. I just spent a couple of minutes trying to unscrew this thing, and it just pulls off. It's just little things like that. It's just crackers. Let's see if we can get some wire through first, and I'll put that tip on. This is not boarding well. I've switched it on. It's on. Obviously, all the numbers are lit up, and that's working. The fan's going. The gas is coming through, but when I pull the trigger, nothing happens. It's not feeding in the wire. Right, looks like it was my fault, because you have to read the instructions. That's what it's all about. There's a little button here, and you press that, and it tells you whether you're on CO2, mag, or gasless. So you've got to light that up, for none of them lights were lit up. So press that, and the CO2 is lit up, and this synergy is lit up at the bottom, and now the wire's coming through. Right, should be coming out in a minute. So any time now, in your own time, when you're ready. Should have been here by now, surely. So it's going somewhere. I think it's stuck in the tip. Yeah, it just stuck in the tip. I just took the shroud off, slacked the tip off, and it flicked out. The wire got stuck at the back of the tip. So that's working now. Hooray! Right, this is set up to 140. Really nice that. I'm happy with that. Oh, this rubbish weld. Oh, I like that. That's really good. I'm impressed. yeah, I'm impressed. I've got to say, first straight out the box, just turned it up to 139. Apparently when you adjust this, it adjusts the voltage and the amps at the same time. That's why it's synergy, it's in synergy. So need to read the instructions really, but I can't weld better than that, I'm sorry, but that's as good as I've ever welded. It's really good. I'm impressed. What can I say? Andeli. If it keeps on like this, I'll be very, very pleased. Just another little addition to what I thought about that first run of welding. Just had to think about it. It doesn't seem to be as much splatter and not as fierce. If I was welding that with my old SIP welder, there'd be a lot more sparks and a lot more, I don't know what I can call it, energy. But here it seems to be very, very controlled, and hardly any weld flash as well, isn't it? Like little tiny couple of spots. How that happens, I don't know, but it definitely seems to be smoother. Yeah, I'm quite impressed. Could buy that. Okay, just thought I'd share that one with you. See you again. Bye. Just before I give me full seal of approval, which it looks like I'm going to do, is I'm going to try it on a bit of sheet metal. This is like, I don't know what gauge it's like car body stuff, but the thicker stuff. I use this quite a bit, and if anything that my SIP struggled with, it was this stuff. So let's give it a try. I'm going to turn it down to 90. Fabulous. Unbelievable that now. Do that, I like that a lot. Some spot weld on there. Let's turn it up and try spot weld. Try it up to 115. Great now. I missed there, that's my fault, but that's good that for welding that. They expect that to blow through and start ripping holes in it, but it's not. And I've done a spot welder. Again, that's my fault, that little hole, but for welding sheet metal, that's my SIP wouldn't weld like that, no question. I wouldn't be able to weld it like that. It's good. Great, thank you very much, Andeli.